Dr. Andrew Beck never tired of the view of a baseball diamond from the owner's box at Empire Field in Queens, New York. Seated in an oversized plush leather chair overlooking the first baseline from the mezzanine level, he had an unobstructed view of the entire field. The Empire Field engineers had constructed the box to be at the perfect angle to watch the pitcher, the catcher, and the batter. Andrew sat back and stared out at the fans finding their seats. He admired the dedicated fans in upper tiers wearing full jackets, some even with gloves and wool hats, to fight the wet wind from the East River and Flushing Bay that slapped them in the face. Although the retracted plexiglass windows in the owner's box let the early April chill spill in, the heating vent's counterblow made the room temperature more than comfortable. The hostess, dressed in tight New York Tides gray pinstriped apparel with navy lettering, put on the narrow granite table in front of Andrew a sampler plate of buffalo wings from Dan and John's, lamb skewers from Peter Luger's Steakhouse, and some assorted rolls from Sushi Ishikawa. As scrumptious as it all looked, what Andrew really wanted was a hot, soft pretzel. But for that, he'd have to wait until the vendor came around. He thanked the woman and asked, "What scotch do we have back there?" "Johnny Walker Blue. Would you like a glass?" she asked with a smile. Andrew returned the smile and said, "No, thank you. Just a ginger ale, please." A deep, raspy voice boomed, "What? Johnny Walker Blue not good enough for you, Dr. Beck?" Andrew pivoted his head and saw the Tide's general manager and head of baseball operations, Seth Rothstein, approach. Andrew stood up to shake his hand and said, "I'm partial to Macallan 18 myself." Rothstein was in his 60s, in good shape, steely-eyed, sharp, and known as a tough but fair general manager. They had a good working relationship, but today the rubber would meet the road. The men took their seats, surveying the Tides warming up. Andrew noticed Rothstein scanning his players and referring to a printout of the Tide's player performance charts and statistics. Rothstein exhaled loudly and shook his head when he flipped to the page with the stats on 23-year-old pitcher John Palmer, Andrew's patient and a recovering drug addict. The Tides had invested significant money in John's treatment, Andrew being the principal beneficiary of the six-figure payments. Andrew tried to make small talk about the team with Rothstein, but he was engrossed in his stats. He just nodded or gave a polite smile with a little fanfare. The silence became deafening, as if Rothstein was icing Andrew to keep him on edge. The two men ate their food, watched the opening day ceremonies, and clapped as the stadium announcer called out the players' names one at a time as they took their positions on the field. Andrew listened closely to the fans' reaction to the announcement of the Tide's final player. "And at pitcher number 42, John Palmer!" The announcer elongated John for effect. John ran out onto the field to subdued applause and a scattering of boos. The fans felt betrayed by last year's late-season crumble and his confession that he had pitched all of his rookie season high on amphetamines. The only thing that had saved him from a suspension was the season was over when he came forward and he went immediately into a Tide-sponsored rehab program. The owner's box reception was as chilly as the weather, only a polite smattering of applause. Andrew hoped it was because the owner and team brass were busy getting their food and drinks, and not because of their lack of enthusiasm for their opening day pitcher. Andrew had put John through 6 months of intensive therapy during the off-season. Treatment included a 90-day stint at the upscale Wooded Willows Drug Rehabilitation Facility in the rolling hills and snow-covered mountains of the Catskills in upstate New York. Every week, Andrew made the 2.5-hour drive from Greenwich, Connecticut, to have 4-hour sessions with John. By March, John had to be off the drugs and mentally and emotionally ready to report to the Tide's spring training facility in Tampa Bay, Florida.